Welcome to A Day in Miami. I am your host, Anabel, live from the studios of Miami's Community News. Welcome to Tuesday Talk with Local Leaders. Our guest is Miami-Dade County Commissioner for District 6, Kevin Marino Cabrera. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Annabelle. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. Today's show is sponsored by Heyday Marketing and the A Group. For more information, please look at the scroll below and you find out all the information that you need to for Hispanic marketing, located right here in Miami, Florida. Okay, let's get started. Kevin, you were recently elected as county commissioner in November, just a few months ago.
Yeah, I think our swearing in was November 21st, so I think today might be a couple of months anniversary.
Oh my goodness, that's true. Well, congratulations and welcome. So some of the cities that encompass District 6, Miami Springs, Virginia Gardens,
Hialeah.
That's right.
West Miami. So we've got 6 cities in additional to the unincorporated service area, which is unincorporated Miami-Dade County. When you think of District 6, we start in southeast Hialeah, just south of the racetrack, moving on down. And then we've got, you've got the airport in its entirety. Then you've got Miami Springs, Virginia Gardens, the city of Miami and the Flagami section. You've got West Miami, some areas that aren't necessarily cities, but including, Shenley Park, Coral Terrace, North Gables, and then you go all the way down and we encompass as well Glenver Heights. We go all the way to the Snapper Creek Expressway between 67th Avenue and the Palmetto. And then, if that wasn't enough, we also creek out on the left and get the Fontainebleau area by the Malls of the Americas and all of the buildings in its surrounding area.
Actually, I haven't been around there in quite some time.
It's changed a bit.
Yeah.
Since I used to go watch movies there, and I think I might have renewed my driver's license.
Yes.
Once there, it's changed quite a bit.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, before we start the show, I always like to give an overview of my local leader, the local leader on the show, just to get to know the local leader. So let's get started on that. Previous to this position, you worked for Donald Trump, our former president. How did you like that, and what are some of the things that you did?
Well, I tell folks that it's one of the coolest jobs in the world. I think no matter what your thoughts are, or what party you're in, I think working for the President of the United States is obviously an honor. We were in charge of carrying out the campaign in Florida. It was 250 staffers, 48 offices, $40 million budget. Wow. So I tell folks, if anything prepared me, for this position, I would say it would be managing that infrastructure and that size of a team. It was a thrilling experience, and now we're here today. So it's for somebody who's been a staffer in politics for many years, it's kind of interesting to make that jump to the other side of it.
Absolutely. And before that, you were appointed councilman for West Kendall's Community Council, Local and Use and Zoning Board in Miami-Dade County in 2015. What are some of the things you did for that position?
So one of the beauties of county governments is that in these areas where you don't have a city, in the absence of a city, you have these community councils, which handle zoning and comprehensive master development plans. So it kind of gave you kind of training wheels of sorts of learning on all these different zoning matters and CDMP issues, because we deal with those at the county commission as well. Everything that passes in the community council eventually makes its way to the county commission. So it gave you kind of a glimpse of some of these issues and learning zoning, which is such a large part of what we do in local government, and making sure that areas that we approve zoning, that we approve changes in the master plan makes sense, right? Because ultimately, that is one of the most important things we can do as local leaders, because that is what's going to decide the makeup of our county and of our cities.
I agree. One of the things I always say, everything begins at the local level.
Well, Tip O'Neill used to say politics is local, right?
Yeah, that's right. I like that. And I don't know if I've already mentioned, you are a Miami native.
I am. Born and raised, and right here in South Miami Hospital, so not too, just across the street, basically.
Oh, that's so cool. And you did go to South Miami High.
And I went to South Miami High, home of the Cobras.
Yeah.
Which is in District 6 as well.
That's awesome.
It's one of the best parts of this job, representing your high school.
I love that. So you majored in political science at FIU, which is the same school that I went to, and that's awesome to hear. Did you ever see yourself as a county commissioner?
So I've always wanted to serve. I wasn't sure necessarily in what capacity, but I've always wanted to help folks. And I think, if you want to do that, it's good, because you want to do this for the right reasons. And I think that the reasons why so many of us do this is to make sure that we're being a voice for those that are in need, and trying to bring change upon in their lives in our county and just making it a little bit better. And I think as the county commission, faces, in my opinion, something transformational in terms of term limits. We've never had term limits in our county. The average length of a county commissioner's tenure would be 20 some odd years. Now we have term limits, so you're limited to 8 years. So as we turn that page and we move into a new era at the county commission, I think myself along with my colleagues, some of them which are new, can really bring new and transformative ideas to the county commission to really take us to that next level.
Yeah, very well said. And an interesting fact, you along with the Hialeah mayor at the time, Steve Bovo, Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart, you guys opened or initiated, for lack of better words, the Hialeah office hours. And Hialeah really needs that, right?
So sometimes when folks think of District 6, right, they think of West Miami and Coral Gables, kind of because that's the central part of the district. Mm-hmm. But District 6, like we said earlier, is very big. It goes it starts in Hialeah and makes its way to Glenver Heights.
Right.
Hialeah is actually, after the Flagami section, the second largest portion of the district in terms of population.
Okay.
So I think the government closest to the people is the most effective. And, we have one district office, which is centrally located in West Miami. So I think it's important to provide options for folks who might be looking to get help with their local government. And also, I think, when folks go to their city halls, a lot of times, or whatever city it may be, the issue you encounter is, this is a federal issue, or this is a local issue, or this is a county issue. Why not provide the ability that if you go to City Hall, if you've made the time in your day, most folks, are working Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. They've got to look for the time in order to be able to do these things. Why not provide an option to fix all of your issues and all in one stop? Where you can go, whether it be local, municipal, county, federal, state, where you were able to fix all of that in one stop. So that's kind of what we were advocating for here, and that's why we're there every Wednesday from 9 to 4 p.m.
I love that. When I worked for the city of Miami Springs, Mr. Ballard had his office hours there too. So it was great, and I wish the community came out more to ask more questions, because the community is quick to complain. Sorry, me included sometimes, but not quick to ask what are some changes that could be made. Like, come and ask your local leader.
We pride ourselves on being accessible. Anybody who emails us, who calls our office, we try our best to get back to you in the most timely manner possible. But I think ultimately, even better than that is being present.
Correct.
Being present, whether it be in the Coral Gables Farmers Market, where we're every weekend. If you have an issue with local government, you can come visit us there. And the Miami Springs Farmers Market as well. As long as they are, during the seasons that they are available, we are there. And the same thing with these office hours. We want to make sure that we are available, that we are present, that we are available, and we are there, because ultimately the most important role we have is not, any big legislation that we have, but rather solving the issues that our residents might be having and being a liaison between government and themselves, to making sure that they get adequate, timely, and effective answers.
I love that. That's cool. I may visit you at the Coral Gables Farmers Market.
Absolutely. This weekend's actually the last weekend.
Oh, okay.
So be sure to pass by. And we usually team up with Miami-Dade County Animal Services to bring some pets to see if they get adopted. We've been lucky the last 2 weekends. I think on average about 2 dogs have been adopted.
That's nice. Oh, I'm so happy.
So come and adopt a dog.
Yeah. I have one. I have a Siberian Husky. Well,
oh my God, so do I.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. How old is yours?
He's 3. He'll turn 3 in April 20th.
They're high maintenance. Very
high maintenance. Me and him, if you want to really catch us, you can catch us walking the Granada Golf Course every morning, 4.5 miles.
Oh my goodness.
He's more well known than myself. The days I don't take him, people ask if he's doing okay. Where is he? Where's Parma? Forget the commissioner. Parma's the one that matters. His name's Parma, like the cheese, Parmigiano Reggiano.
I was wondering, but it's a boy.
It's a boy.
Oh, cute.
But, I love cheese, and I think he might like Parmigiano cheese too.
Have you tried?
I have not yet.
Okay, let's do that. Let's try it.
He has a strict puppy diet.
Oh, that's well, yeah. When I raised my husky, obviously, chicken and rice.
So no matter what you give them, the high maintenance aspect of them has quite frankly been the most surprising thing.
Yeah.
If there's things you never thought a dog could do, such as make a hole in your hardwood floors, they can do that.
That's
a Siberian Husky can most definitely do that.
Yep. I always say Siberian Huskies are Houdini's and escape artists, or Houdini's for escape artists. It doesn't matter where you put them; they will find a way.
If anybody's bored, go on Instagram, start looking up the little Siberian Husky reels, and it will be a rabbit hole that you will not be able to get out of.
Oh my goodness! Well, I'm gonna have to bring Bella, that's my husky, to the Coral Gables Farmers Market, where you will be with Parma
goes with me every weekend.
Parmesan cheese, I can't. Yeah. That's great. Okay, going back on topic. Okay, so we covered some of the cities that you cover already. Now let's go into the job description because the purpose of this show is to engage and ask the community, what do you want to know from our local leader? We did get some questions that don't pertain necessarily to your job role, which I am saving them for the upcoming local leaders. So some of your job descriptions is passing and enacting county ordinances and resolutions, approving the county's annual budget and capital improvement plan, overseeing county departments and agencies, including the police department, fire department, and the Parks and Recreation department. What are other things that your job entails?
So the most important thing, honestly, is what we were talking about earlier in terms of the office hours area, is being a liaison for our people. You know, making sure that we are their voice in county government, making sure that we hold county government accountable, whether it be transparent, efficient, frugal, making sure that we spend the people's money wisely. Because ultimately, it's not our money. It's the people's money, and we should be using it wisely. And if we have extra, we should probably give it back to them because they probably know best how to use it. Our most important role, honestly, is being a voice for the people. They elect us to be their representative there, making sure that their priorities are being actually, effectuated and being done in an efficient and effective manner.
I love it. Okay, so now that we got to know you a little bit better, let's go into the community questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. Okay, what are some initiatives that you are helping with in conjunction with the Dade County Police Department and the various municipality police departments?
So one of the things that the Commissioner Sosa did was during the last part of her tenure was she allocated $1 million through the district funds to the Miami-Dade County Police Department. When we came in, we thought it was a great idea, and we worked with the local mayor of the area to come up with a plan. And now we're working as well with State Attorney Catherine Fernandez-Rundle and other stakeholders for this plan to be all-encompassing, right? Because one of the issues that we've seen a lot in our district has been with prostitution, human trafficking, and narcotics. So we came up with the mayor and with the State Attorney, we've come up with a plan to use those $1 million to tackle those issues and to make sure, these are some of the issues that not only are they crime, but they're kind of a gateway drug of sorts to society. Correct. They're detrimental in terms of the destruction of society. So we want to make sure that we're using these funds, to create a better, safer, and just more vibrant community. So that's one of the things that we've been working closely with both the police department and with the state attorney's office. Because I think if you are going to implement something like that, you want to make sure that all the stakeholders, have a say. You don't want folks. The police doing something that the state attorney might not necessarily agree with. So we want to make sure that we're working together to have an all-encompassing plan that could really be effective and really bring about change in our community.
Excellent. And I did see that about 2 weeks ago, you did visit the Human Trafficking Center.
Yes.
With the state attorney, my former boss, which is, I would be that person taking the picture. So I did see that, and I'm happy that that is an area that you are really focusing on because, as you can tell, there's been a lot of human trafficking cases, like you mentioned, and it's an area that really needs a lot of assistance.
Yeah, and quite frankly, our district has one of the highest number by the hour motels where a lot of these sort of things happen. So we want to make sure that, we're allocating resources to tackle these sorts of issues. And as we get different, global, events, whether it be a championship, a race, or what have you, we know that just statistically, it brings a lot of these issues.
Absolutely.
So we love these events. We want to keep getting them, but we want to make sure that we have the proper resources in our law enforcement so that we can tackle these issues and make sure that they don't become permanent, or we can attempt to eradicate them as much as possible.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, so the next question, what are your goals and objectives for 2023?
So in addition to obviously the funds that we're using in conjunction with the police department and the human trafficking division of the state attorney's office, one of the things that's really important to me and that I saw knocking on doors firsthand was folks, particularly those that are retired, feel like they're being driven out of their homes. These folks worked their whole lives. They made this community the community it is that so many folks want to move here, not just from Latin America, but from all over the United States, whether it be New York, Michigan, California, even Texas. We're getting folks moving over here. So I've been working with the mayor's office and as part of the program that she had, the homes program, to try to increase the assistance that we can provide to those that are retired to assist with the burden of their property taxes. Because I think that where they find themselves in a situation where they have to sell their homes and move to a different county. Yeah. And honestly, these are the folks that created this community, that made this county great. So we want to make sure that they can live out their golden years in dignity in the homes that they've lived in for so long.
Yeah.
So that's one of our top priorities. And I'd say number two is permitting. We were working with all different stakeholders, whether it be associations, developers, our building and permitting department, to find different solutions so we can expedite permitting. I myself took about 7.5 months a few years ago to do a septic to sewer conversion, and I don't think anybody should take that long. It was a very arduous process, a very difficult process. It wasn't just with the county. I was dealing with a few different municipalities as well. But we want to make sure that we're streamlining that, because if we have a housing crisis that we're trying to tackle, we want to make sure that we'll make it easier, not more difficult, to build affordable housing, workforce housing, and all these things that are going to be helpful in solving our housing crisis.
I agree. Thank you for answering that. And another question, how are the plans coming along with the Ludlum Trail around your district?
So the Ludlum Trail, again, is something that was brought about by Commissioner Sosa, she was the mastermind behind it. And I think it's great, because if there's anything that we learned during COVID was, for our mental sanity and physical health, green spaces are necessary.
Correct.
And I think that we've seen a society in which folks spend a lot of times on their phones, on their laptops, iPads, whatever it may be, they're spending a lot of time on it. And I think that these different trails and green spaces that we're provide the ability for folks to really come out and connect and have that human interaction, which I think is important in terms of the social aspect of life. Just last week, I believe it was, we did a groundbreaking for an affordable housing unit on the Ludlum Trail. And the beauty of this private-public partnership is that those folks are going to be responsible for building their section of the Ludlum Trail, right? So the county provides the land for them to build this workforce and affordable housing, and then they are responsible for their portion of the Ludlum Trail, taking that cost and those expenses away from the county for building and maintaining that portion. So they're coming along quite well. We're actually going to be doing a tour of it in the coming weeks. But I think we're moving right along. We've purchased all of the land necessary for the Ludlum Trail. Now it's just a matter of developing it.
Got it. And there's a nice Ludlum Trail actually in Miami Springs already. The Ludlum 3.
Yeah.
I'm like, but that's not the Ludlum Trail we're talking about.
The Ludlum Trail is about 6.2 miles between Northwest 7th Street and I believe it's 90 some odd Street. It's all encompassing within District 6, and we want to make sure that we're providing options. The folks I know in downtown have the underline. Well, we want to make sure that we're providing options to working class families, in Southwest Miami-Dade County, to have a trail where they can enjoy life and connect with others as well.
That's fantastic. And what are some of the activities people could do on the Ludlum Trail? Ride bike?
Some of the things that they're going to be able to do is ride bike. We hope to have, cafes and different things as well. Some, commercial things. So that when you leave, for example, this affordable housing that's being built on the Ludlum Trail, when you open your door, you have the trail right there.
That's great.
Whether you want to go and have a cafe, whether you want to just have a human interaction with folks that are coming by, it'll provide that. And I think it's, again, if we learned anything during COVID, I think it's the importance of having these green spaces available to folks so they can be out there and really have that human interaction with other persons.
And that's so important to implement that in the city. I always say, because I live in Key Biscayne, I'm leaving the craziness.
It's like a giant trail.
Yeah.
It's like a giant
exactly. I walk everywhere and I interact with strangers constantly, and I love that. So I had to leave so far away from Miami because of, I wanted that mental stability, that mental healthiness.
And the beauty of all these trails is that the master plan for the Parks Department is to have them all connect, right? The ultimate plan is connectivity, so that you can go from downtown Miami on the Ludlum Trail and connect to on the underline and connect to the Ludlum Trail and have it all interconnected. Obviously, the Ludlum Trail isn't, District 6 is smack in the middle of Miami-Dade County.
Correct.
So it's one of the important ones because it's that central corridor.
That is fantastic. I can't wait to see that finalized. I will be out there for a story.
Awesome. And we're hoping, I think, to break ground. I think it's within the next 1.5 to 2 years on the rest of the trail, and starting to get that built out.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so next question. What was your motivation to run for this position? Before the show, we talked a little bit about last week's guest, Senator Brian Avila, and how he kind of motivated you a little bit to run for this position. But I'm sure you have other reasons.
So he was running for this position, and then a different position opened up in the state senate, and he shifted out, and we had a few conversations, and he was obviously very supportive and very helpful. But honestly, one of the motivations for me is honestly, as we talked earlier, with this new transformation of the county commission, and having kind of new folks come on board, having younger folks come as well, I think it's important to have a voice for our generation. And that's what I'm hopeful to be. In addition to, I think one of the biggest motivating factors was honestly frustration with government. dealing with this whole permitting process for my septic to sewer conversion was extremely arduous and frustrating. So, a lot of folks sometimes say, don't just complain, do something. Well, that's what we decided to do. We decided to do something and run for office where hopefully we can bring about some changes to, again, bring a government that's more effective and efficient and responsive to the people's needs.
I love that. And Miami-Dade County is usually seeing it as a model community for many other communities. And that's a first that I hear that Texans are moving over.
We're getting, well, because we're better. That's
Oh,
why. Simple answer. We're
that's
better.
it. Yeah. I love Texas. That's like the only other state I would live in.
But you live in Florida.
But I live in Florida.
Because we are better.
That's right. I've lived in many different states, but Texas is the only one. Yeah, the only other one.
I'll keep them as number 2, but we'll stay as number 1.
You see? How funny. Okay, perfect. Okay, question number 5. How many businesses have applied for the Mom and Pop Small Businesses Grant?
So the Mom and Pop Small Businesses Grant, first for folks that might not know about it, it's a phenomenal opportunity for folks to apply for up to $5,000. Your business has to be in District 6. And really the idea is to help those entrepreneurs that are investing in our community, that are building business in our community, employing folks in our community to help give them a little bit of an extra hand and trying to, build out those businesses as they sprout their entrepreneurship in our community. So far, over 200 folks have picked up applications,
Great.
but about 50 have turned them in.
Great.
This Friday is the deadline to turn them in at our office. So I encourage folks to apply, turn them in. And we look forward to being able to, help as many folks as possible in our community as they continue to build out their businesses and expand that tax base in our community.
That's great. Okay, so another question. Will you be hosting town hall meetings?
So funny that you asked that. Tomorrow, we actually will be hosting one in Shenley Park at, I still say Miami Children's Hospital, but it's Nicholas Children's Hospital.
That's right.
We're going to be hosting one with the hospital in conjunction because I know that a lot of times the residents in the Shenley Park area have questions, concerns regarding the hospital, whether it be their expansion or whatever it is they may be doing. So we've been working with them to set up, periodic monthly meetings, not necessarily monthly, but I'm sorry, periodic town hall meetings so that they can provide updates to the residents to try to ease their concerns. And again, just having that line of communication because I think it's so important. Sometimes things get lost in translation or you hear a rumor from a neighbor, but what best than to have these town halls where folks can ask questions, hear updates, and really be informed as to what's actually happening. So we're going to be hosting one, like I said, in Shenley Park tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. at Nicholas Children's Hospital. But we're looking forward to hosting additional town halls throughout the district because like we said earlier, District 6 is very large, very expansive, and we want to make sure that we are including everybody as part of these town halls and giving everybody the opportunity to voice their opinion.
Yes, and some town hall meetings can run like a few hours as well.
That's fine.
You're okay with that?
I like questions.
Yeah, there you go. That's great. Okay, so this question is actually pretty long, and from our discussion previously, many people have asked you about this. Okay, so Southwest 69th Avenue between 12th Street and 16th Street, people speed like they are in a racetrack. Can you consider placing a stop sign on 13th Terrace or 14th Street because there are many neighbors that have handicapped children and with wheelchairs and strollers, so it's very dangerous.
So absolutely, we can definitely consider it. And I think one of the things we talked about is if you can share that person's contact info, we'll get them in, we'll put them in contact with our office. One of the things that we've been called about the most, not only has been issues with permits, but it's been whether it be speed bumps or stop signs, you have to do a traffic study. We can't just sprout up stop signs or speed bumps everywhere. So the first thing we would do is talk to the county Public Works and Transportation Department to do a traffic study, and then we can work together to see what's necessary to try to reduce that traffic and try to make a safe environment for all of the homeowners in the area.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I will definitely contact that individual that submitted the question and refer everything you said.
Absolutely.
Okay, so final question. What are your 2023 plans for infrastructure to keep up with the growth in our cities?
Well, as one of the most important things I think we have is duties we have is providing infrastructure, and that's why one of the things that we've been working on as a commission and on the TPO as well, which is the Transportation Planning Authority, is our organization is coming up with ways to implement both the SMART plan and different infrastructure plans to provide options to our community. Because what I tell everybody, if we really want to be a global city, a city that's attracting all these folks, we've got to provide transportation options.
Correct.
No one wants to spend 2.5 hours in their car like they do in other states, whether it be in California or other. We want to make sure that we are providing options. And part of that is making sure that all of these corridors, all these different transportation ideas that we've been talking about for 20 years, let's move forward with these plans, right? Let's see which are the best plans, but the most efficient plans, which are going to provide the most transformational change to our community. Just like you saw that, we were able to approve the expansion of the North Corridor for the Metro Rail, right? Which will go to County Line Road, providing an options for the folks to go to go on the Metro Rail all the way up to County Line Road and to the stadium. So again, we're providing different options. So I think it's really improving our mass transit, improving our streets, so that one of the issues I hear about all the time, which we're working with Public Works and with our utility companies, is that how many times are you going to open up the road, right? You're going to open it up this week, then you're going to open it up 2 weeks later. Making sure that we're coordinating.
Correct.
So when you open up that road, that everyone who's a stakeholder in this, making sure we do all of those changes now, as opposed to impacting traffic and opening it up multiple times. Making sure that the contracts that we've approved for the synchronization of traffic signals, right, is being implemented properly, so that when you get a green light, you don't get a red light right after.
Okay.
All of these different things are important. Again, something else that we're always looking for more funding is septic to sewer conversions as well, right? I tell folks I'm a conservative, but a conservative in every sense of the word, where you got to make sure that you also conserve the environment.
Correct.
And that's why we're making sure we're bringing additional funds to our county, whether it be from the state or from the federal government, to try to implement septic to sewer, to get folks, onto the sewer system, off of septic, which we know is harmful to our bay and harmful to our environment. So those are some of the things that we're working on the infrastructure area. But again, it's all about making sure that we provide, efficiency and a government that's responsive to the people's needs.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, US 1 is a disaster. Personally speaking, I'm like, it's back to pre-COVID times, right? Like, there's so much traffic. There's always a road closure. I don't even know what's going on, but it's insane.
So we've got the bus rapid transit system that they're going to be implementing in the 2 bus lanes that are on they're on one of the sides of US 1, depending on which way you're traveling. So hopefully that provides an option for folks to, hop out of their cars and instead hopping into these buses that will look like trains. They will look and feel like a train.
That's awesome.
So, and again, it's providing options to folks so that hopefully they can get out of their cars. Nothing against the car salesman, but nobody but nobody wants to sit in a car for hours. We want to make sure we're providing options so that, when you're on these different modes of mass transit, you can read a book, you can catch up with a friend, you can do plenty of things. But the point is, you won't have to deal with that stress of having to be in your car for 2 hours.
Exactly. I agree. Like, I always say, I should not be allowed to drive. I'm always almost in a car accident. I mention this all the time. I actually bumped into a car the other day. It was fine.
We won't tell Miami PD, I promise.
But it's crazy. And another thing is, one thing is providing transportation like buses, Metro Rail. But another thing, speaking from a female perspective, is safety. Like, I don't necessarily feel safe riding a Metro Rail all the time. I don't know. I just don't. So I don't know if there's like an option to provide additional security.
Well, I know that we just, one of the contracts we just approved in one of our recent meetings was for security at our transportation facilities.
Great.
But again, that's something we can always look into, making
Correct.
sure, because again, it's about providing a government, again, that's responsive to people. So if you want to make sure that people feel safe in their homes, in their cars, in their communities, and our transit facilities, because ultimately that goes to creating a better society. So if folks, if you're not safe, if you don't feel safe, you don't want to be out there.
Correct.
So we'd be happy to discuss that to make sure that everybody feels safe when whatever it is that they're doing in Miami-Dade County. We want to make sure that you feel safe.
Yes, because I don't want to drive anymore. Okay.
Sign me up.
Okay, right? How can the community reach you if they have to?
Absolutely. So some of the best ways to reach us is you can reach us on social media, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. It's KM Cabrera FL. Or they can go to miamidade.gov/district 06. Apparently there's a 0 before the 6.
Okay.
Found that out a few days ago.
Oh, that's interesting.
Or they can pass by our office, which the address is 1000 Southwest 57th Avenue, Suite 201. We're on the second floor of Inter-American Bank.
Excellent. Or visit him at the Coral Gables Farmers Market or at the town hall meeting tomorrow.
Yes, or you can visit, or the town hall meeting tomorrow at Nicholas Children's Hospital in Shenley Park.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. This was Miami-Dade County Commissioner for District 6, Kevin Marino Cabrera. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And you're watching Tuesday Talk with local leaders. Please stay tuned for April 4th as we're going to have the Miami-Dade County School I'm sorry, Dan Espino. I'm so happy that he is here. We have a lot of questions for him already submitted for you, and that was one of the questions. I'm like, no, he doesn't deal with the school board.
We'll leave these for Danny.
Exactly. Well, you know him.
Yeah, he's a good friend.
Great. Okay, so we're going to have Danny Espino, Vice Chair for the Miami-Dade School System. We are so happy. Thank you so much. Have a